What's going on, guys? Super Savage 789 here, bringing you guys another video. And today we're doing What If Roshi Raised Goku Part 4. If you haven't seen the last 3 parts, make sure you go and check them out before watching this one. But without further ado, let's get into today's video. During the time skip, a few things would occur obviously. Chi-Chi would end up marrying Goku and moving into Kame house, where they end up having a child, like normal. His name wouldn't be Gohan, but for simplicity, that's what we'll refer to him as. Goku's name here isn't Goku either, so it's fine. After her death and her new status as a mother, Chi-Chi would retire from fighting, however she'd be more okay with Gohan training. So Goku would teach Gohan the basics of fighting here. The boy still wouldn't be a massive fan of training, but would be open to learn it. So here he'd be slightly stronger. Goku would luckily have a sparring partner during the 5 years that isn't a part of his family. Krillin would still live at Kame house, so he'd be there to train with Goku. This means that after the 5 years, Goku would be around his canon power level. It also means that Krillin is much stronger. In canon his power level is 206, however I think we can bump that up to 309. Speaking of training, Roshi would begin his training with Kami to become Guardian of Earth. The first lesson of his training is to conquer his perverted side, like he does in the anime when preparing for the Tournament of Power. While this is pretty hard for Roshi, he's able to successfully do it. He'd learn all sorts of lessons from both Kami and Popo, like how to survey the earth, as well as various martial arts skills he didn't even know of. So his training would be very beneficial for him. I'd place his power level in this timeline at 348. He also has buff form, which would further increase his strength. Roshi is pretty powerful here. After 5 years have passed, the gang all decide to have a reunion. Since Roshi is God, he can't just leave the lookout for leisure. So we'd have to give the location of the lookout to the gang so they can all successfully find him. Roshi would tell his 2 students that they've kept the will of the Turtle School alive, but that isn't enough. There needs to be a Turtle School master, but one to carry on the legacy into the next generation. He knows it'll be one of them, but he can't truly decide, so they'll need to decide between them. Goku asks Krillin if he wants to settle this with a spar, which he is happy to oblige. Meanwhile, Raditz would arrive on Earth where he begins looking for Goku. Here though he has a much harder time locating him due to him being on the lookout. In his search for his brother, Raditz ends up running into Tenshin on a Yamcha for eventually getting alerted to 2 high power levels in the sky. This happens to be a Kamehameha clash between Goku and Krillin. So Raditz shows up in the midst of their battle. Believing that his brother is trying to kill the human, the Saiyan interjects, kicking Krillin into one of the pillars of the tower. Raditz then tells his brother to get serious. This leads to a very similar interaction, ending with Raditz taking Gohan. After Goku and Krillin get senzus, Goku would be ready to stop Raditz. Since Piccolo isn't there, the Saiyan doesn't immediately leave, but instead he hears out what the others have to say. While Roshi wants to help, he's already died once, so he opts not to. Instead, they decide to go and get Yamcha and Ten to help, which they would be okay with. So after they all meet up, they rock up to where Raditz is to stop him. The 4 of them all begin to fight against Raditz, doing relatively well. Despite the additional numbers, the fight is very similar to canon. The only difference is that Tenshinhan uses the Kiko Ho to kill Raditz and Goku, since again, Piccolo isn't there. Yamcha would tell Raditz about the Dragon Balls, and Raditz would tell him about the Saiyans. So they'd all still have time to prepare for the impending threat in a year's time. Due to the impending threat of the Saiyans, Kami realizes how dire the situation is. Recognizing there is no other way, he goes deep in the palace where he finds a rice cooker. After opening it, his evil half is once again allowed out into the world. Piccolo would be shocked that Kami released him, telling him he must have truly been desperate. The duo have a mental exchange where Piccolo realizes the impending Saiyan threat. While he doesn't want to help, he agrees to it on one condition. Without needing to say anything further, Kami understands, telling him that if he stops the Saiyans, his condition will be fulfilled. With Gohan's potential being on full display to everyone, it'd be clear that they need to rely on that. After getting permission from Chi-Chi, Roshi approaches Gohan and tells him that he'll be crucial in defeating the Saiyans. So if he wants to become a scholar in the future, he'll need to get strong now. Gohan understands this, and so he begins training under Roshi. Meanwhile, the rest of the Z fighters will be training on the lookout, with the exception of Goku, who's with King Kai. Everyone whose strength has changed, their power level is currently on screen, so make sure you take a look. When the Saiyans arrive, the group would all meet up in a wasteland, ready to fight off the Saiyans. Nappa would still get the idea to plant the Cybermen, with Yamcha still getting cocky. Despite his strength increase, the Cybermen would still off guard and kamikaze him. Krillin would then destroy the Cybermen, and Nappa would begin to fight. of Chaozu and Tenshinhan die, despite being stronger, leaving the fight up to Roshi, Gohan, and Krillin. Nappa would probably have a bit of a harder time than he did in canon, but Roshi and Krillin are strong enough to actually make him try, which combined with their martial arts prowess makes him a very difficult opponent to defeat, especially when they're actively trying to stall out the fight. Piccolo would be staying back and simply watching the battle, only fighting when he needs to. He isn't exactly happy about risking his life to fight a battle for people he doesn't care about. Just as long as the Saiyans are dead, his condition for the deal will be done. Nappa would decide to attack the weakest link being Gohan using the Bomber DX. Roshi would teleport in the way, wielding a technique he picked up from his Guardian training to save Gohan. The attack hits him and would quickly lead to his death, which enrages Gohan and Krillin. After Gohan unleashes an angry Kamehameha, Krillin would launch a Kienzan at the brute. With his increased strength, the disc reaches Nappa before Vegeta can tell him to dodge. Nappa would be cut in half and lands on the ground in pieces, shocked at this happening. He begs Vegeta to help him, but Piccolo simply blows him up. Vegeta remarks that they did well to defeat Nappa, but they won't be so lucky with him. As they all prepare to fight though, Goku shows up, where him and Vegeta begin to fight. The other three all decide to leave Goku to fight, however it doesn't take long for them to realize that Piccolo has gone missing. The fight between Goku and Vegeta goes normal until the part where Vegeta becomes an Ozaru. This wouldn't last as long, since Piccolo would be observing the fight. After he deems that Goku has been beaten enough, he decides to telepathically contact Kami, telling him to blow up the moon. While reluctant, Kami agrees. This causes Vegeta to revert back to his base. Before he can create a blood wave emitter to become an Ozaru once more, Piccolo unleashes an explosive demon wave at him that he's been charging the whole time. It sweeps up Vegeta and does sizable damage, carrying him pretty far away. Piccolo approaches the injured Goku, telling him that he was told to eliminate all the Saiyans. He holds out his hand to blast him away, but is kicked by Vegeta, causing him to stagger. He didn't expect him to still be alive. The duo begin to fight, with Vegeta definitely having the upper hand against the Namekian. Meanwhile, Gohan and Krillin show up and carry Goku a safe distance away. Goku would hand Krillin the Genki Dama and tells him he needs to hit Vegeta with it, which Krillin agrees to. As he stands on Piccolo's chest, he remarks that it was all bark and no bite. The duo notice the Genki Dama being hurled towards them, which Vegeta goes to dodge. Wanting to defeat Vegeta though, Piccolo extends his arms and wraps him around him to hold him down. With a smile over the Demon King's face, both of them are swept up in the blue explosion. After this, Vegeta would still be standing, with Piccolo in critical condition. It wouldn't take much teamwork for Krillin and Gohan to take Vegeta down, without the need of Gohan to go Ozaru. Goku would still vote for Vegeta to live, and he escapes. Krillin asks if he should kill Piccolo while he has a chance, but Goku also chooses to spare him. He did decide to help stop the Saiyans, even if he did have ulterior motives. If he does decide to attack them, then they can easily stop him. Everyone is taken to Wukong Hospital, with Goku and Piccolo being the most critical. The plan to go to Namek is still hatched, and Krillin, Gohan, and Bulma all head there to collect the Dragon Balls. Goku and Piccolo will be given sensor beams the moment Korin grows some new ones. Immediately after awakening, Piccolo will blow a hole in the wall and flies away where he arrives at the lookout. He tells Kami that he did everything he asked, and now it's time. They will become whole once more, with Piccolo being the dominant host. Kami bids farewell to Popo and fuses into King Piccolo. Piccolo smiles, recognizing that his goal of conquering Earth can now become a reality. But that's where we're going to leave it here. If you like this part, make sure you like it, and comment down below what you think is going to happen in the next part. I really enjoy this What If, but we haven't got much longer for it to go, as the changes made after this will be very minimal. But yeah, and bye!